Introduction to the Federal Constitution. This is just going to be a brief introduction. The Federal Constitution can be divided into two parts. There's the original document, which was written but not initially ratified by the states. And in the original body of the Constitution, the federal government is set up, and the three branches of government are discussed. And there are plenty of important things in the original document, but one thing I want you to focus on is the prohibition on ex post facto laws, because that's in the original document. The prohibition on ex post facto laws prevents laws from being enacted and then applied retroactively, and ex post facto only concerns criminal laws, not civil or tax laws. So this would prohibit the government from passing a law and then punishing people that broke that law before it was even in effect. And obviously that's unfair, and that's what we refer to as a retroactive criminal prosecution. It also prohibits enacting a law and then making it easier to convict someone in a retroactive fashion. And so I would like you to take heed of that particular part of the original document. After the document was written and was failed to be ratified by the states, 10 changes were added, and these changes are called amendments. And the first 10 amendments to the Constitution are called the Bill of Rights, and they're very important. All 10 of them apply to the federal Constitution, but as we're going to learn in this class, many of them have been selectively incorporated into the 14th Amendment, which obviously came after the first 10, due process clause, and are also applied to the states. So most of these amendments are in effect in a federal and state criminal prosecution. So this is going to be a very brief overview, and we're going to go more in depth on these amendments later. So I'll start with the First Amendment. The First Amendment is probably one of the most famous amendments, and it prohibits the government from intruding on free speech, free press, and freedom of religion. And of course, those are all huge areas, and we will discuss them all at a later date. The Second Amendment was very recently the subject of a U.S. Supreme Court case, and the Second Amendment protects the right to bear arms, but the way it's been applied by the Supreme Court is it protects every individual and allows them to possess a usable handgun in the home for self-defense, with exceptions such as the possession of a handgun by a convicted felon. The Third Amendment prohibits the government from forcing people to quarter soldiers. So that means people will not have to take soldiers into their home and feed and clothe them. The Fourth Amendment, another very important amendment, also a very specific amendment, because most parts of the Constitution are drafted broadly so that it will survive. Obviously, the Constitution has been in effect for many years. But the Fourth Amendment is pretty specific, and it prohibits the government from searching or seizing an individual unreasonably. The Fifth Amendment has quite a few parts to it. The parts that I want you to focus on are the protection in a federal case of an individual and the right to that individual to have a grand jury indictment, and that only applies in a federal case. And also the right to due process of law in a federal case is in the Fifth Amendment. And the freedom from self-incrimination, this is the right to remain silent. And also the freedom from being subjected to double jeopardy, which would be 2 criminal trials based on one set of facts. The Sixth Amendment is also a very important criminal justice amendment, and in the Sixth Amendment you are guaranteed as an individual the right to a jury trial in a criminal prosecution, and also the right to a speedy and public trial, the right to confront your accusers if you are the criminal defendant, and very importantly, the right to counsel in a criminal prosecution, counsel meaning an attorney. The Seventh Amendment protects your right to a civil jury trial rather than a criminal. The Eighth Amendment allows individuals to be free from cruel and unusual punishment, and also to be free from excessive bail. The Ninth Amendment is not often used, but it guarantees all individuals' rights, even if the rights are not explicitly set forth in the Constitution. And then the 10th Amendment, which was really the crux of the matter and which convinced the states to ratify the Constitution, allows the states to govern themselves. So this is a state's police power right in the Constitution. Good luck with the rest of the lecture, and please don't hesitate to contact me if you have any questions.